Every time you create a new project in Python, you always create a virtual environment, right? Sometimes you found yourself when you're starting, you didn't create a virtual environment. But what is a virtual environment? How does it work? Why do we need it? In this video, I try to explain what a virtual environment is, how it works internally in your projects, how to set it up, how to activate it, to deactivate, and why we need it in the first place. Stay with me till the end of the video so that I can explain to you why you need a virtual environment, so that you understand it once for all. So next time when you create a new project, you understand why you're creating a virtual environment and how it works. Let's dive into the video. This is our beautiful diagram that we want to use to explain virtual environment. Now, assume John is working on project A. At the same time, he has project B. Project A and project B require different versions of pip packages or different versions of Django in this case. So project A requires Django 3.2, project B requires Django 5.0. Initially, John has to install Django 3.2 every time he is running project A. Every time John has to install Django 3.2 globally every time he wants to run project A. And so then our global environment will have Django 3.2. Now John has worked on this project A for a while and he feels like he needs to also add something on project B. But project B requires Django 5.0. So again, John comes and installs Django 5.0 globally. When he does this, Django 5.0 overwrites 3.2, and so then now the new Django we have globally is 5.0. Again, he comes back to project A after some time. He needs to push or add another feature, but remember project A requires Django 3.2. So John goes ahead to install Django 3.2 globally, and that will override Django 5.0, so we only have 3.2. John has to keep installing 3.2 whenever he wants to use project A. He has to install 5.0 whenever he's building on project B. Now, this is where virtual environment comes in. Virtual environment gives you like a secluded environment where you can install the specific packages for a particular project. In this case, our virtual environment will have Django 3.2 for project A. In project B, we will have a virtual environment that will have Django 5.0. Now, our global environment will have nothing, okay? So what happens here, once we create a virtual environment allows us to have or package all those requirements for a particular application in a secluded environment that is different from the global environment. So we won't have any conflicts. To activate or to set up a virtual environment in Python, we need a command python 3 flag m, then a virtual environment, and then the name of that environment, okay? And once we create the virtual environment, we need to activate that environment using source, then the name of the virtual environment, then you go to the folder where we have the Python executables, that is in the bin, activate, that is if you're using Linux or Mac, you will find it in the bin. If you're using Windows OS, you'll find it in the env scripts, then activate. That is where we have the Python executable. Then after doing that, you can now install using pip. Pip install whatever package you want to install in your application, be it requests. Once you install using pip in an activated virtual environment, those packages will be in this virtual environment only, in the site packages. That is why you will have them. So you can run this without affecting the other project. Since project B will also have its virtual environment that is having Django 5, remember you have to create the virtual environment and then activate it. Then you can install. So what happens? Remember when you install Python, Python is added to the path globally so that you can activate Python anywhere. What happens is that if you don't activate your virtual environment, it won't know which path to refer to when it's looking for the Python executables. So it will go globally in the user bin Python 3. That is before activation. After activation, it will now come to the instance of that project where we have the virtual environment. Like in this case, it comes to our project is in the home directory, user, then project, and then inside this project, we have our virtual environment. then we have the bin, and then now we have the Python executable. So before activation, Python will be executed from the global environment, which is in the user bin Python 3. But after activating our virtual environment, it now points locally to where our local executable Python is. That is in your project directory, name of the virtual environment, bin directory, and then Python. Once you are done building your application or working in this project, be it project A, you need to ensure that you deactivate. Why do you deactivate? You deactivate because if you don't, the next time you start a new project, be it B or C, it will refer to the packages that are in project A. Remember, you didn't activate it. So how does Python works? If we have no active environment, it will always refer to the global environment that's here. But if it finds a virtual environment that is existing and is active, it reads from that virtual environment for any packages. So this means if you don't deactivate the environment for a particular project, the next time you start another project, instead of that project referring to your local virtual environment, it will always refer to the previous environment that wasn't deactivated. So you need to ensure that every time you start a new project or every time you are done with the project, you have to deactivate. And this takes back control to the global environment, such that when you open project B and activate it, your executables or interpreter will now look for the Python executable in project B, right? But if you don't activate this environment, and this was also deactivated, it will go globally here and look for the site packages. If it misses them here, then you'll get errors.